Diana politely asked to show one of the dresses that she liked, but the lady said that at the moment the store does not have her size. Mary was indignant because in this store you could have clothes made to order, and she was incredibly irritated by the rude attitude of the girls. Diana also leaked this, but she was so tired of gossip that she no longer had the strength to worry, and she suffered from such treatment every time. The ladies continued to laugh at Diana, insisting that her servants had bad manners, and that she had the audacity to shout at an aristocrat in an expensive clothing store. Diana didn't want to quarrel with anyone, and silently turned around to leave this place forever and never appear in this store again. But one of the girls clearly wanted to continue the conversation, and chuckled at the fact that Diana decided to simply leave silently. But this time the heroine was no longer going to tolerate ridicule, and approaching the lady, she said that if she had any complaints, then she probably had complaints against the entire Chester house. The ladies insisted that the maid had shamelessly butted into the conversation of the noble ladies and had behaved indecently. Diana stood up for Mary and confidently declared that in the Chester house, thoughtlessly and shamelessly is the family motto, and the maid only obediently follows it. The small size range and the fact that the store can only make clothes of specific sizes only speaks of unprofessionalism, so she wished the girls to work harder. Just as Lady Diana was about to leave with Mary, another lady entered the shop and recognized Diana Chester. As she left the store, the lady waved her hands and was dissatisfied, declaring that she would rather return to the carriage. Mary asked if the lady was okay, and she must have been very upset after what happened. In fact, Diana was in a terrible mood because this was the first time in her life that she had been treated like this because of her appearance. Mary looked at her mistress with admiration and admitted that Diana's speech was simply incredible. Evan was probably already tired of waiting for the girls, so the lady suggested going to him as soon as possible. But before she had time to walk down the street, the aristocrat appeared before her again and immediately recognized Miss Chester. Diana was surprised to see the girl and asked who she was, since she did not recognize the stranger at all. The indignant aristocrat rudely replied, "How could Lady Diana not remember her, because it was impossible not to recognize Lady Marian?" The lady came even closer to Diana and assured her that something had happened, while the lady was walking around the shops as if nothing had happened. Diana said so because she really didn't recognize the girl's face, and when she took a step back, she accidentally tripped and fell on the road right in front of everyone. The aristocrat laughed, saying that the lady probably couldn't stand on her feet because of her heavy body, and people might think she was making fun of her. Suddenly, a fair-haired lady came out of the crowd and asked everyone to be quiet because the situation was quite unpleasant, and she could no longer listen to what Lady Marian was saying. The lady asked why the aristocrat insulted her aristocratic status with such actions, and seemed to allow frivolous behavior. Seeing the unfamiliar girl, Diana considered her incredibly beautiful, but she didn't know her either. This nice girl turned out to be Lady Camden, and she was just walking nearby and accidentally saw one of the aristocrats talking rudely. Suddenly, she heard a disgusting voice and couldn't pass by, and she meant Marian's voice. Mary helped the lady to get up, and she really scared the maid with her sudden fall. Lady Camden was of the same status as Diana, but the lady admired her. This girl looked like a princess. Mary insisted that Diana herself had started to speak rudely, and why should she be so kind to her person? She confessed that she felt very sorry for Lady Chester, because the Marquise had rejected her, so she spoke to her only out of pity. But Diana had absolutely no idea who they were talking about, or which Marquise the lady had in mind. She claimed that Diana confessed her feelings to the Marquis, but he publicly rejected her, and she declared that she no longer wanted to have any dealings with ungrateful ladies, and decided to take her leave first. The heroine could not understand what Diana had done, because she did not have a single friend. She wanted to thank the noble lady who helped her deal with the aristocrat. Lady Camden turned around and looked at Diana with a welcoming gaze, and the heroine was surprised at how beautiful and luxurious this girl looked. It was Sienna from the Camden family, and recently at a meeting the maid in the house said, if Diana sees a beautiful girl walking alone, then she is definitely their lady. In this, the heroine was very similar to Miss Sienna, and she also often liked to spend time alone. That evening, Diana lay down in her soft bed and was overcome with many unfamiliar emotions. She told Mary that she had been thinking about something for a long time and had finally made a decision. Diana said that she wanted to befriend Lady Sienna and was not even afraid of the fact that this girl was constantly alone. Diana already had a special plan for this, and they agreed to talk to Mary about it tomorrow, so that now the lady could quickly fall asleep and gain strength. Diana excitedly announced that she still had one very important decision to make, and she would definitely tell about it tomorrow. The next morning, Diana told the cook that she was going to go on a diet, but the man was sure that the lady did not have any extra weight that needed to be lost. In fact, the heroine was shocked by what happened yesterday, and she was sure that She needed to lose those extra pounds. She understood perfectly well that those people who criticized her were actually bad people. But standing in front of that crowd, intimidated, the heroine felt how they hurt her pride. So, one way or another, she was going to go on a diet and ask the cook to help and prepare the necessary dishes. He tearfully asked the lady to eat the dish that he had prepared in advance, because food was not to blame for anything, because there was nothing worse in the world than losing weight by starving yourself. Diana failed to overcome Uncle Paul, whose main joy in life is feeding the ladies something tasty. After talking with the cook, she realized that there really was nothing she could do, and she would have to come up with another way. She asked the butler to find some medicine for weight loss. The young man confidently replied that such a medicine does not exist, and the young lady will definitely not be able to lose weight simply by taking pills. He insisted that the lady was the one who should put her health first, because they had not yet returned the lady's memory, and she was already going to go on a diet. With each passing day, Diana became more and more upset because her plans failed every time, and she had only one way out: to take up sports. Diets required some understanding, but Diana knew absolutely nothing about them, so she decided to start doing regular exercise, which was much better than just sitting around doing nothing. After dinner, Diana came to her brother and said that she wanted to borrow Evan for a while, but the young man considered this complete nonsense. In fact, Mary suggested turning to Evan, but for some reason Evan was subordinate to the heroine's older brother. She admitted that she decided to go on a diet and needed someone to help her exercise, and the young man was sure that his sister was free to do whatever she wanted, but he did not understand why she decided to go on a diet, and he was ready to talk not only after she said that the older brother was the best and that he was very far from it. Diana understood that her older brother was making fun of her again, and the young man assured her that in that case, she definitely didn't need an assistant. She shouted the phrase loudly, clearly repeating every word that her older brother wanted to hear. He was very glad that she obediently fulfilled his request, but then he stated that he was not going to give Evan to her, and everything he said was just words, and his sister definitely won't be able to get his night. The young man really couldn't give up his night, because he occupied an important place in his squad. Diana's brother was about to leave for the north with the family's nightly company soon, and warned that they would be gone for some time. Having failed to get help from her brother, Diana decided to ask for help from another person. She had one person in mind whom she wanted to meet as soon as possible to resolve an important issue. Together with the maid Mary, they went to the estate, but the lady assured them that it was very impolite to come for no reason, and perhaps this man would not want to receive her. But Diana had already sent a message in advance, and now she stood in front of the gates of the mansion, holding a box with a red bow in her hands. She was sure that this lady had absolutely no choice but to chat pleasantly, because she brought a tempting gift. The guards let Diana into the mansion, and she politely gave her name to the butler, but the young man insisted that they had not received any news that the ladies were going to visit them, and that there must have been some mistake. Here, the heroine herself made a mistake, sending the letter just 2 hours before the official arrival. The basics of noble manners dictate that if you are from an out-of-town family, you should obtain permission to visit in advance by exchanging letters a month before the meeting. The butler has already sent a man and promised that the lady will come down soon. However, since this is a sudden visit, it may take some time. Diana asked not to pay attention to her, because she understood perfectly well that she had arrived almost without warning. Spending the tedious time waiting, the heroine was surprised at how people occupy themselves in times without smartphones, and she just wanted to fall asleep. So Diana couldn't resist and lay down on the sofa in the living room because she had been waiting for many hours. Finally, a familiar female voice was heard in the living room, and the lady apologized for the long wait. Diana immediately jumped up from the sofa, insisting that she had not been sleeping at all, but the lady asked her to first get rid of the marks on her cheeks and then talk. She asked to get to the main point, and she was interested in the reason for Lady Chester's unexpected visit. After all, no one could do that, and everyone knew the rules of communication with aristocrats. But Diana managed to distinguish herself. She was sure it would be too burdensome if she told him that she had come here only to make friends with the noble lady. So Diana put the box with the red bow on the table and moved it closer to the lady. She asked her to take a look and then start talking. She was sure that there would not be a person in the world who would not like this present. Sienna smiled, clearly enjoying the attention that Ms. Chester was giving her. She assumed the gift might be a precious stone, but the surprised Diana knew that the box contained something completely different. She stated that even if it wasn't a gem or a statue, Diana was still doing something stupid. The lady decided to open the box and show what was inside, and the gift turned out to be ordinary sweet puddings. This vanilla pudding was made by the chef, and Diana thought it was very tasty, so she brought it to Sienna. She did not expect at all that the gift would be a dessert, because she was sure that the aristocrat had to bribe her with jewelry. Sienna asked if Diana was trying to show herself off by giving such a gift, but the lady insisted that she had not known that it was necessary to give jewelry. Surprised, Sienna walked up to Ms. Diana and loudly asked if she really wanted to please her so much, and that was why she had unexpectedly arrived at her house. Diana replied that Sienna also had no friends, and she would really like them to become friends. And she wasn't at all sure that Sienna should agree, because she was seeing this girl for the second time in her life. Sienna admitted that she deliberately didn't make friends, and that they were like annoying flies to her. Diana smiled and replied, "People who don't have friends usually walk alone." And after these words, she caught the lady's puzzled look. Sienna admitted that Ms. Diana had changed a lot since their last meeting, and the heroine was surprised because they had met before. As it turns out, Sienna had seen Diana earlier in the swamp there last year, and then the heroine looked completely different. Diana said that she had recently lost her memory, and that was why she did not remember their last meeting. She asked if the ladies had been friends before, since she had absolutely no memory of what their relationship had been like. After a long conversation, Sienna entered her room slamming the doors loudly, and the lady seemed to be in a bad mood. The maid noticed that the lady stayed with the guest longer than usual, and probably this was a special meeting. Sienna didn't know what to tell the nanny, because this meeting was unexpected for her as well. She said that Lady Chester had come to visit and asked her to become her friend. Sienna declined and found it strange that Diana wanted to be friends so suddenly. But then the girls had a completely different conversation, and Sienna couldn't stop thinking about it. Immediately after meeting the aristocrat, Diana decided to go to a jewelry store to buy some jewelry. She was greeted by a friendly lady who assured her that the lady had arrived at the finest jewelry shop in the Welsh Empire. Diana had no idea that Sienna loved jewelry more than sweet pudding, and if she wanted to be friends, she needed to find some gems. She asked to find a precious stone as a gift for a friend with whom she would like to become friends. Diana's attention was drawn to a green gemstone in the display case, which shimmered mesmerizingly in the light. Diana didn't choose anything else because she really liked this stone, and she was sure that Sienna would definitely like it. She hoped that her gift would certainly be to the taste of the aristocrat, and as she walked among the crowd of people, she did not notice how she felt something strange. A young man from the crowd with short blonde hair and incredible sky-blue eyes looked at Diana. For some reason, he turned specifically to Diana, and among a large number of people, he paid attention to her. She thought that the young man was clearly mistaken, but he insisted that he wanted to ask the stranger something. He asked the lady to spare him a little time and was clearly about to ask him something. The young man assured that the conversation would not take much time, and he was simply attracted by an unusual girl from the crowd. His face was shining with kindness, and his smile was so sincere that it could melt any heart. He made his way through the crowd, and every step of his was full of confidence and lightness. He approached her, and at that moment, everything around seemed to freeze. The young man stopped in front of her, and his gaze was full of warmth and interest. He introduced himself and called himself a Knight of the Order of St. Eliot, and was just busy with an investigation, so he wanted to check with the lady whether she had accidentally bought precious stones in one of the nearby shops. Diana wondered what this young man could be investigating, and she had indeed just left a jewelry store. She stated that she had never bought gemstones and was probably afraid that she might face some kind of punishment. She had no intention of telling the stranger about her purchase, and he thanked the lady for her help, deciding to move on. Diana watched the departing silhouette for some time, and this meeting seemed to have made an impression on her. She had just lied to the Imperial Knight, and there was absolutely nothing she could do about the situation when she met the young man. He left with the thought that the lady would regret what she had done, because he could clearly see the paper bag with precious stones in her hands. Back at the mansion, Diana looked closely at the gem and asked Mary if there was a law that would put someone in jail for buying stones. There was no such law in the Empire, and Mary asked the lady why she had decided to lie at all, and was now suffering. Diana was afraid that it might be some kind of trap, but Mary asked the lady not to worry too much, and to go to bed so that she could get up with new strength tomorrow. The young gentleman had to go on a nightly expedition, and Diana had to be left alone for a while. She remembered the words of her older brother, who spoke about the campaign, and realized that she was left alone in the mansion, and in fact, she had long forgotten about this news. The next day, Diana said goodbye to her older brother and wished him success on his expedition. Diana had absolutely no idea what to say goodbye to, and could only wish that her older brother would not get into trouble in the forest. The young man found his sister's concern incredibly sweet, and even smiled in response. But since he was too confident in himself, he patted his little sister on the cheeks and warned her not to wander around just anywhere and to better guard the house. Just recently, an urgent message came in that strange signals were coming from the forest in the Northern Territory, and that is why Aiden went to investigate. Diana asked her father how dangerous it was, since it could probably have negative consequences. The father assured that monsters might appear, and he could not say for sure that it was safe, but it was true that everything would be fine with his son. He also warned Diana that he might also soon leave on land matters and would also be absent from the mansion. Since his daughter was getting better, he decided that he could go and finish the work, and that Diana should stay and look after the house. When everyone left, going out into the courtyard of the mansion, the heroine experienced a new strange feeling, as if emptiness had settled inside her too. A lot had happened lately, and Diana felt as if she had become even more melancholy than when she was a young heroine. After her morning walk, she returned to the mansion, since the absence of the young man was only to her advantage, and finally, she was alone and could take advantage of the moment. A few hours later, she returned to Lady Sienna with a new gift and handed Lara a small box containing a green gemstone. She wondered if Diana had bought the gift especially for her, and she really hoped that Sienna would like it. Diana said that she had indeed purchased a gift for her personally, but to her surprise, the lady was interested in its price. Diana insisted that it was impolite to ask about the price of a gift, but persistent Sienna wanted to hear an answer to her question. She decided to answer, since the lady was so interested, and told him that she had given 2 whole gold coins for it. Sienna admitted that when Diana came and showed her the stone, she first thought she had been deceived, but now she was sure that for such a sum there could be no deception, and this stone is actually a fake, and it turns out that Lady Diana was probably deceived by someone. Sienna examined the gem closely, assuring that it looked real, but that its color would become cloudy over time. The gemstone Diana bought at a jewelry store turned out to be fake, and at that moment, the lady just remembered the man she had run into, because he had just been asking about that jewelry store, and probably knew that she had bought a fake, and had started talking to her for that very reason. Only now did Diana realize what had happened, and if she had told the truth, then she could have brought him back. Sienna insisted that this purchase was still profitable because this stone could have cost 5 coins, and probably the lady was even given a stage. Diana didn't care about other issues at all because she just wanted to please, and the gift turned out to be a fake, and it was a complete failure for her. Sienna was surprised to hear these words and asked what Diana was going to do next after gaining her favor. And all this time Diana endured, but now her patience came to an end, and Sienna began to seem like a completely different person. Diana bought this fake, emptied all her pockets, and decided to end it there. She was sure that she was already trying too hard, but for some reason the lady continued to communicate with her strangely, and suddenly Sienna declared that this was not the way to solve things, and Diana had something interesting to hear. Sienna admitted that, as she had said last time, she was not going to stop being a friend, but offered to become a mentor in prudence. Sienna also promised to teach Diana how to distinguish precious stones from fakes. Surprised by such an offer, the heroine did not believe that the aristocrat offered her to become a mentor in prudence, and she really wanted a teacher for herself, but in fact she needed a mentor in losing weight. Oddly enough, Sienna looked so inspired that Diana couldn't bring herself to refuse her. Diana replied that she had spent her entire fortune on a fake stone and had no money at all to pay for her education. But Sienna admitted that a lady must bring something far better than jewels, and Lady Camden had a completely different tuition fee.